So now in this unit, we are going to see about Mobius function, Mobius inversion formula, recurrence relation, and greatest integer function. So to start with, Mobius function and Mobius inversion formula, what it indicates is Mobius function, it investigates integers in terms of their prime decomposition. Okay, in terms of prime decomposition, it is given. And while we are talking about Mobius inversion formula, what is given here is this Mobius inversion formula, it gives the values of a function at a given integer. In what way it will be giving? It will be giving in terms of its summatory function. So whatever the function is given, it will be giving the finding out the values of the function at that particular integer. In what way it will be giving it? It will be giving in terms of its summatory function. And Mobius function, we have this well-known property mu of n. Mobius function is multiplicative. That is mu of mn is always equal to mu of m into mu of n, where this m and n are relatively prime integer. And Mobius inversion formula, when we talk about this one, this is a basic property in this formula. Let f of n is equal to sigma over d of n, that is summation over d over n, mu of d, then f of n will be satisfying the function, satisfying the relation f of n equal to 1 if n is equal to 1, and it is equal to 0 if n greater than 1. So just two steps, the proof is just given two steps. For n is equal to 1, we have f of 1 that is equal to mu of 1. We know that mu of 1 is equal to 1. Now let us find what is mu of pk, mu k. So here, and this integer k is greater than 0. Therefore, pk is equal to mu of 1 plus mu of p plus so on up to plus mu of pk, that is equal to mu of n, we already know that it is equal to 1. And mu of p, we will be knowing it is equal to minus 1. For all the other terms, the value is going to be equal to 0. So what's my answer now? 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. This gives the proof for the statement. And next one, suppose that f is an arithmetic function and capital F is its summatory function, then for all positive integer n, we have f of n is equal to summation over d over n mu of d into f of n by d. So this thing we asked to prove here. So let us take this one, summation over d over n mu of d f of n by d. Summation over d over n mu of d, I'm writing it here. And this f of n by d, I'm writing in terms of f of e, that is summation over e over n by d into f of e. Okay, this is understood. This is nothing else. F of e. Then just take both the summations together. mu of d into f of e. And again, summation over e over n, then d over n by e. Okay, the same concept we're applying to here. Mu of d into f of e. So again, the summation, just we are taking along with the terms, summation over e over n f of e and summation into mu of d. Okay. So next, that's all. So here, these things we are proving in the previous concept over here. F of e, summation over d over n by d, mu of d, and left hand side I'm just having over this concept, summation over d over n, mu of d into f of n by d. Just in two steps we'll be giving all these proofs. Next. Example for a Mobius inversion formula would be the inversion of sigma of n and tau of n. These two functions are the summatory functions, f of n equal to 1, f of n equal to n, and f of n equal to 1 respectively. Thus we have this a small statement. N is equal to, we are writing it as summation over d over n mu of n by d into sigma of d, and here we are writing it 1 is equal to sigma over d over n mu of n by d into tau of d. Okay, here sigma of d we are using it, and here using it tau of d. Okay, there's just two good examples for this Mobius inversion formula. Then recurrence relation. So what do you mean by recurrence relation? A recurrence relation for a given sequence an, it is an equation that expresses an in terms of one or more of the previous terms in the sequence. So a recurrence relation is nothing but It is nothing but a recurrence relation for a particular sequence. I need a recurrence relation means then it is nothing but an equation in the form that sequence can be written, can be expressed in terms of the previous terms, in terms of the previous terms. So if we take the sequence an, I can express that relation in terms of the previous terms a naught, a1, so on up to an minus 1. Okay. For all integers n greater than or equal to n naught, and here where n naught is a non-negative integer. And sequence is called a solution of a recurrence if its term satisfies the recurrence relation. Okay. The recurrence relations or the solutions going here, we just consider here basic recurrence relations an equal to 2an minus 1 minus an minus 2. So what are sequences it has here actually? It has the following sequences an as solutions. An equal to 3n, an equal to n plus 1 and an equal to 5. Just you can check all these values. Therefore, the initial conditions plus recurrence relation uniquely determine the sequence. Uniquely determine the sequence. So, initial conditions or recurrence alone are needed to determine the sequence. Then the well-known Fibonacci numbers are defined by the recurrence. So, Fibonacci numbers will be given in terms of recurrence relation. So, f of n is equal to f of n minus 1 plus f of n minus 2. And we'll be knowing that f of 1 equal to 1, f of 0 equal to 1. So, the solution to the Fibonacci recurrences, this is a general thing, we'll be having this one. F1 equal to 1 by root pi into 1 plus root pi by 2 whole power n minus 1 by root pi into 1 minus root pi by 2 whole power n. So, this is the well-known relation and well-known solution for this concept. So, general form. So, what is the recurrence relation in general form? Recurrences can have the form of T of n is equal to alpha into T of n minus beta plus f of n and T of delta is equal to C. So we have to, all these are initial conditions. So we have to define this T of delta. In various concepts, we have to see this, we have to refer this one T of delta as it is plays an important role in initial conditions. The initial conditions specify the value of the first few necessary terms in the sequence. Yes, initial conditions will be helping to find out the value of the first few terms in the sequence. In the Fibonacci numbers, we needed two initial conditions, f of 0 equal to 1, f of 1 equal to 1. Since f of n is defined by the two previous terms in the sequence. As we all know, just we have seen the previous two terms. The initial conditions are also known as boundary conditions. So, Fibonacci numbers, we can refer in this case also, subscript notation, we can go for it. So, either capital F of n or small f of n, it's our wish. The recurrence relation has two parts, recursive terms and non-recursive terms. So T of n equal to 2 into T of n minus 2 plus n square minus 10. So the recursive terms come from when an algorithm calls itself. Okay, again repeated over there. The non-recursive terms corresponds to the non-recursive cost of the algorithm, where the algorithm performs within a function. Within a function, we'll be considering this concept. So first we shall find how to solve these recurrences. So the solving a recurrences, we have several methods. One is characteristic equations, forward substitution, backward substitutions, recurrence trees, and mapping. Just you just have an idea about all these types. Next, linear homogeneous recurrences. Some examples we shall see here. The Fibonacci sequence is a linear homogeneous recurrence relation. Is a well-known sequence over here. So the following relations, an equal to 4an minus 1 plus 5an minus 2 plus 7an minus 3. And one more, an equal to an minus 2 plus 4an minus 4 plus 8an minus 3. So how many initial conditions do we need to specify for these relations? And how to solve this linear homogeneous recurrences? That we shall see in the next slide. So solving linear homogeneous recurrences, some steps are given here. We want a solution of the form an equal to r power n, where r is some real constant. Just see the methodology over here. We observe that an equal to r power n is a solution to a linear homogeneous recurrences. And what is the condition here? This is the condition if and only if r power n should be c1 r power n minus 1 plus c2 from the previous steps. c2 r power n minus 2 plus 1 ck r power n minus 3. Next step, what we are doing, just divide both the sides by r power n minus k, collect the terms, and we get a k degree polynomial like this. This equation is called the characteristic equation of the recurrence relations. The first step is to frame the characteristic equation. So when you frame a characteristic equation, it is nothing but a polynomial, is it not? So just solve this one. We'll be getting the roots for this polynomial. So roots of this polynomial is nothing but the characteristic roots of the recurrence relations. So these roots can be used to find the solutions to the recurrence relations. So second order linear homogeneous recurrence is a recurrence of the form a1 an equal to c1 an minus 1 plus c2 an minus 2. This is a theorem statement is given here. For this relation, just we should go for a single root. Okay. Afterwards, you can go for it here. So here, what is given in this theorem is let c1 c2 belongs to R, and suppose that R square minus C1 R minus C2 is the characteristic polynomial of a second order linear homogeneous recurrence which has two distinct roots, then An is a solution if and only if this condition is given there. This condition is given here for a second order linear homogeneous recurrence. So second order linear homogeneous recurrence, just we shall see one example. Find a solution to an equal to 5an minus 1, 6an minus 2 with initial conditions a naught equal to 0, a naught equal to 1 and a1 equal to 4. So second order linear homogeneous recurrence is given, the initial conditions is given. The first step is we have to frame a characteristic equation. So what's the characteristic equation here? R square minus 5r plus 6 is equal to 0. So this is the quadratic equation. Just solve this equation. We will be getting two roots. One is r is equal to 2 and r is equal to 3, and the roots are distinct. So r square minus 5r plus 6 is equal to r minus 2 into r minus 3. Using the second order theorem, that solution. We have the solution is, just see the previous one. We have alpha 1 into r1 power n plus alpha into r2 power n, is it not? In our problem, r1 is 3, r1 is 2 and r2 is equal to 3. So using the second order theorem, we have a solution an equal to alpha 1 into 2 power n plus alpha 2 into 3 power n. So now the solution we have here. We plug in the initial conditions to get a system of linear equations. So a naught equal to alpha 1 into 2 power 0 plus alpha 2 3 power 0. The initial condition is given for a naught and a1. Just by substituting it, that's all. Wherever n is there, we are substituting 1. So a naught equal to alpha into 2 power 0 plus alpha into 3 power 0. Here 2 power n, here 3 power n. So anything to the power 0 is equal to 1. So I'm just having here alpha 1. Here I'm just having here alpha 2. 4 is equal to 2 alpha 1 plus 3 alpha 2. Just solve these two equations. I'll be getting the value for alpha 1 and alpha 2. Solving for alpha 1 and alpha 2. So alpha 1 is equal, alpha 2 equal to 2 and alpha equal to minus. So just solve these two equations. Okay. When you solve these two equations, I'm getting the value is alpha 1 equal to minus 1 and alpha 2 equal to 2. Okay. Now, in this solution, this is the solution we got it, is it not? In the place of alpha 1, alpha 2, just substitute the values. So I'll be getting it as alpha 1 is equal to minus 1, alpha 2 equal to 2. So minus 1 into power n plus 2 into 3 power n. This is a solution. Next, second order linear homogeneous recurrence. One more problem. What is given here? An equal to minus 2an minus 1 plus 15an minus 2. So what are the initial conditions given here? A naught equal to 0 and a1 equal to 1. So as usual, first we have to frame the characteristic equation. So if you frame the characteristic equation, what will you get here? R square plus 2r minus 15 equal to 0. So using that, we'll be getting the equations like this. Alpha equal to 1 by alpha 1 equal to 1 by 8 and alpha 2 equal to minus 1 by 8. Just solve this equation. The final answer will be equal to Alpha 1 equal to 1 by 8 and alpha 2 equal to minus 1 by 8. Okay, next. Greatest integer function. So what is the greatest integer function? Y is equal to x in terms of brackets. Means the greatest integer not greater than x. The greatest means the greatest integer, but it is not greater than x. Another example, 2.4 means the greatest integer not greater than 2.4. So therefore, what is the meaning here? The greatest integer up to is 1 is equal to 2. So 2.4 is there. So before the greatest integer not greater than 2.4 means up to 2.4, what is my largest integer? I have only 2. So I'm just writing here. So greatest integer of 2.4 is equal to 2. And same thing here. Greatest integer of 3 equal to 3. That's all. Then minus 2.2. So minus 2.2, what is the greatest integer? You should not say minus 2. Before that, what is the greatest integer over there? Minus 3. And again, 5.8. So what is the greatest integer there? 5. So we are talking here only about the integer which is greater within that number. So notice that your answer will always be an integer because we can input any number in for x but only get integers our output y. We need to look at this graph because it probably looks very different from all of the others we have studied so far. Just see here, see this graph. Its graph y is equal to x. Using a table of values, I'm just giving it. Minus 0.5 minus 1. So where is minus 0.5? Minus 0.5 minus 1. If you see it here, minus 0.5 minus 1. Two comma 2. Greatest integer I'm just talking about. Y equal to x. Y equal to x. So minus 0.5, here minus 1. Minus 0.1, minus 1. Here 0, 0. Here 0.4, the largest integer is 0. 0.8, so largest integer is 0. 1 means largest integer is 1. 1.2, the largest integer is 1. 1.8 also 1. 2 is 2. 2.3 means the largest, greatest integer is 2. 3, 3. 3.2, the largest integer is 3. Again 3.7, again it is equal to. Okay, just we have framed the, return the corresponding greatest integer. Notice the open circle at the end of each step. These occur when we jump to the next integer. The domain of y equal to x would be all real numbers because we can substitute any number in for x and get a result. The range of y would be the set of integers because even though we can substitute decimals or fractions, our answer will always be an integer. So that is the definition for a greatest integer function. Okay, we are just marking everything over here. Just see these circles. Just see these circles. You jump to the next integer. Just jump to the next integer. Another example, 2 into x minus 1. Here 0. Here, just check it out. 0. Here 2 into minus 1. Minus 2. Y value is minus 2. Again 0 0.4. So 0 0.4 minus 1. 0 0.4 minus 1 is minus 0.6. That is 1.2. I'm getting here as minus 2. Okay, minus 1.2. Here also the same thing. 0 0.8 you substitute here and find the greatest integer. I'm getting here minus 2. If you substitute x is equal to 1, 1 minus 1, 0. So y is equal to 0. Again 1.2. So 1.2 minus 1. 1.2 minus 1 is what is it here? 0.2. 2 into 0.2 is 0.4. So y is equal to 0.4 means what will be my greatest integer? 0 is the greatest integer. Again 2 means 2. 2.3 means 2. 3. So x is equal to 3 means 6 minus 1. So here x value is I'm just taking here, x is equal to 3. 3 minus 1, I'm getting here 2, 2 2s are 4. Then 3.2, so 3.2 minus 1 again. So what is the greatest integer? That is equal to 4. Just substitute all the values and just mark it over here. Just mark it here. Minus 2, 0, 2 and 4. Minus 2, 0, 2 and 4. So this is my 0. And here y is equal to 2 and y equal to minus 2. Everything ranges. There are two spaces between each one. There are two spaces so that see here there are two spaces in between. Also the step at x is equal to 0. Step at x is equal to 0 has shifted to the right 1 unit. Just here shifted to right 1 unit. The domain of y is equal to 2 into x minus 1 is all real numbers. Okay. At the same time, what is the range of y here? All are even integers because we will only get even integers as outputs. Just see here, all are double space at the same time, all are even. Another example, y is equal to 0.5 into x plus 2. 0, 2. Same example here, 0, 2, 0.4 into 2. That is here, if you substitute x is equal to 0, my answer is y is equal to 2. And 0.4, so 0.5 into 0.4 plus 2. But most my greatest integer is equal to 2. And again, x is equal to 0.8. Again, the same thing, the greatest integer is equal to 2. Then when x is equal to 1, so 0.5 into 1 plus 2. So again, my answer is equal to 2.5. Then again, when x is equal to 1.2, again I'm getting 0.5 into 1.2 plus 2. In this case also, we will be getting here greatest integer as 2.5. The next, when I take x is equal to 1.8, again my greatest integer is going to be 2.5. So see here, in the previous problem we saw a double space. Here, but what we are seeing here, zero point 0.5 space, I'm seeing it here, 2's and 2.5, 3 and 3.5. So I'm just seeing here 0.5 spaced. And see this graph also, see this circles, how it goes, just see these circles, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5 and corresponding x values, just see to it. So closer to there is a half of a space between each one, that is 0.5. And at x is equal to 0, I shifted up to 2 units. So at x is equal to 0 means what is it? 0 means it is shifted to 2 units. 0.4 means 2 units. Again 0.8, 2 units. So 1 means 2.5 units. Okay. So here at x is equal to 0 shifted to 2 units. Again the domain of y is all real numbers. And the range of y is minus 1.5, minus 1, minus 0.5, 0, 0.5. These are numbers, we're getting it as outputs. Thank you.